You ever get that gut feeling like something's just off? Like you witness something powerful, something that shakes you and then the world just looks the other way? That's exactly what happened with 1923. This show didn't just entertain, it hit deep. It told stories that mattered. It gave us moments that stuck. And yet, when the Emmys came around this year, nothing. Not even a nod. Not even a whisper. I'm not just here to complain about awards. This is bigger. This is about what we choose to honor, what we choose to remember, and what we're willing to let fade even when it's brilliant. And I'm not alone in thinking this. You know who else just said the same thing? Tony Curran. Yeah, the same guy who had you sobbing in Doctor Who and flexing your brain in Ray Donovan. He's now in the Outlander prequel, Blood of My Blood. But instead of hyping himself up at the premiere, he went out of his way to say 1923 was the best show of the year. Just like that. No fluff. No hesitation. Just truth. And that truth? It's echoing louder and louder right now. So let's talk about why this snub hurts. Because 1923 wasn't just a show. It was a world. A world built on pain, on resilience, on survival. It took the bones of American history and gave them a heartbeat. A voice. And that voice didn't whisper, it roared. Taylor Sheridan didn't make this show for applause. He made it to say something. About legacy. About sacrifice. About the scars history leaves behind. And somehow, the industry looked away. Let me break this down for you. Because if you haven't watched 1923 yet, or if you're just hearing about the outrage now, you need to know what made it so special. First, the cast. Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. Two legends. But here, they don't play it safe. They don't rely on star power. They disappear into their roles. Ford becomes Jacob Dutton, a man trying to hold together a crumbling world with nothing but his own breaking hands. Mirren is Kara, his wife, fierce, wounded, and stronger than Stowe. But it wasn't just the acting. It was the way the show breathed. It didn't rush. It didn't chase your attention like a squirrel in traffic. It let moments land. It gave silence room to speak. It gave pain time to settle. Sheridan trusts the audience. And honestly, that trust felt rare. It felt real. When season 1 dropped, it had a decent run. People liked it. But not everyone saw it because it was locked behind Paramount+, and let's be honest, not everyone's juggling 5 streaming services. But then something happened. Netflix. Boom. The show hit global audiences like a tidal wave. Suddenly, 1923 was in the top 10 worldwide. People were binging it in 2 days, tweeting like, "How did I sleep on this?" The finale alone? 14 million global views. That's more than Yellowstone's most watched, but the Emmys? Silent. And here's where it gets real personal. Because we've all been there, haven't we? You show up. You give everything. You try so damn hard and you're still invisible. They still don't see you. That's what this feels like. Not just a show getting snubbed, but a message being ignored. A truth being dismissed. And that's why people like Tony Curran are stepping up. Because sometimes, when the system fails, the people have to speak. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a Western. If you hear Western and think dusty saloons and horses, you miss the point. 1923 was about empire. About colonization. About the war that never ends, the war between what was promised and what was taken. There was a whole subplot about indigenous children in boarding schools, being broken down by religious violence. That wasn't fiction. That was history. Brutal. True. Necessary. And Sheridan didn't sugarcoat it. He put it in your face. And but maybe that's why it got ignored. Maybe it was too honest. Maybe it didn't fit the box. Too dark. Too real. Not enough glossy sparkle for the stage. But let me ask you, since when did truth have to be pretty to be honored? Since when did pain have to be polished to be seen? You want to talk about production? This show was massive. Sweeping cinematography. Costumes that didn't just look authentic, they felt lived in. Set pieces that made you feel like you could smell the dust, feel the wind, bleed with the land. It was cinema, on your TV. And yet, nothing. Now look, I'm not saying every great show deserves awards. But awards matter. They shape what we remember. They tell the next generation what we thought was important. And if 1923 doesn't make that cut, then we have to ask ourselves, what are we even rewarding? You ever feel like you're shouting into a void? Like you're screaming, "This matters," and no one's listening? That's what this is. And it hurts. But it also lights a fire. Because now people are listening. The voices are growing. And they're not just fans, they're actors, writers, directors. People who know what it takes to build something that lasts. Let's not forget 1923 was never meant to go on forever. Sheridan said from the start, 2 seasons. That's it. No milking it. No dragging it out. Just a clean, powerful story told with purpose. That alone deserves respect. In an industry that stretches things thin just to cash in, Sheridan walked away after finishing the arc. That's discipline. That's vision. And what a story it was. Family. Betrayal. Survival. There were no easy wins. No perfect heroes. Just broken people trying to do the right thing in a world that kept moving the line. Jacob and Kara weren't just characters, they were symbols. Of endurance. Of love that's battered but unbreakable. And when it ended, it left you quiet. Not empty, just still. That's how you know it landed. I remember watching that finale. The final shot. The stillness of it. The ache. And I just sat there. Didn't even move. Not because I was shocked but because I was full. That kind of storytelling doesn't come around often. It stays. It sinks into your bones. And now, as the noise fades and new shows rise and fall, 1923 is starting to do something even more powerful. It's lingering. It's growing. It's being passed from person to person, like a secret worth knowing. A story worth telling. So what do? We talk about it. We share it. We tell people, this mattered. Because if the industry won't remember it, we will. And honestly, that might mean more. To the cast, thank you. To the crew, thank you. To Sheridan, thank you for giving a damn. For telling stories that weren't safe. For making us feel something when the world's been trying to go numb. And to you watching this right now, if you've ever felt unseen, unheard, overlooked, this one's for you. Because that's what 1923 stood for. The forgotten. The buried. The broken. But not erased. Drop a comment. Tell me what 1923 meant to you. Or just tell me about the show that changed you. That one story that made you feel less alone. Share this with someone who needs to remember what good storytelling looks like. And if you want to be part of a space that celebrates what matters, hit that like. Hit that subscribe. Join this. Because here, we don't wait for the world to catch up. We lead. We speak truth, even if it doesn't get a trophy. Because some stories don't need awards to be great. They just need to be heard. And 1923? We hear you. We always will. And here's the part that really stings, not just for the creators, but for the fans. Because when something hits you deep, when a story like 1923 takes you somewhere else, you carry that with you. It becomes personal. You find yourself thinking about it at random times, like when you're doing dishes, or stuck in traffic. A line from the show. A scene. That one look between Spencer and Alexandra that said everything without a single word. You start to wonder why something that moved so many people got ignored. And then it hits you, maybe the Emmys just don't get it anymore. Or maybe they don't get us. Let me break it down like this. What makes a show matter? It's not just the writing, though that's huge. It's not just the actors, though they carry the soul of it. It's that feeling you get when you watch it, that punch in the gut, that moment of silence when the credits roll. And 1923 had that in every single episode. That's why people aren't just upset. They're heartbroken. And you know what else? It reminds us of something bigger. That sometimes, the best work doesn't always get the loudest applause. That sometimes, you can pour your heart into something and still get passed over. And if you've ever felt that in your own life, like you were doing everything right, giving it your all, and still getting looked over, then you know exactly why this hurts so much. Because it's not just about a show. It's about being seen. And 1923 deserved to be seen. Just like all of us do.